Don't Depend on Daddy is an unfiltered safe space, empowering young professionals to build independence in their 20s and beyond, whether it be personal, professional, or financial. Regardless of your age, relationship status, or job title, the most consistent person in your life is you. So join me and let's build our independence together. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome back to Don't Depend on Daddy, the podcast. My name's Michela. I am your host. And today we are doing one of my favorite annual podcast episodes, our 2025 State of the Union. I'm so excited. I did this episode for the first time last year. You guys loved it. I loved doing it. And I have a pretty good list this year. I'm excited to talk about it. Before we get into it, I'm going to run through some of the housekeeping, important things going on in the break your budget orbit right now. First things first, happy holidays. This episode is going live on Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. I hope you are unplugging and spending some time with your family and friends and loved ones this holiday season. I know I am. Second, I wanted to let you know, the Personal Finance Dashboard, my signature financial planning tool, is going to be going on sale one more time at the end of this year going into 2025. So make sure you are tuned into my Instagram because I'm 99.9% sure the sale is going to start this upcoming Sunday. I believe it's the 29th of December. That is my current plan. And I'm excited because a lot of you guys missed the Black Friday sale, so you'll have one more opportunity to get the Personal Finance Dashboard on sale for 25% off. So this is awesome if you are looking to put together your plan for the new year. I also want to let you know that if you missed this sale or if you're listening to this at a later point outside of this last week of the year timeframe, you can always use the code podcast1 for $10 off the PFD. That is a podcast exclusive code. I don't share it anywhere else. So the Personal Finance Dashboard will be linked in the show notes. You can always go there to learn more about it. I also have a video where I walk through what the Personal Finance Dashboard looks like. So make sure you check that out as well. Third, I am going to be posting more content on YouTube. Yay. If you are watching this on YouTube, hello, thanks for watching. If you are listening to this, I know I have a lot more people who listen versus who watch on YouTube, but if you're listening to this, you should consider starting to watch on YouTube. With this whole TikTok ban situation, I don't think TikTok's going to get banned, but with it, I'm actually going to start taking YouTube a little bit more seriously. I have been over the last few months, but I've only been posting my podcast on here and some YouTube shorts and whatnot. Going forward, I'm aiming to be posting one additional video every Friday. So we started last Friday. I shared a 5-minute snippet. I think it's actually 10 minutes, and it's 4 financial accounts you need to build wealth in 2025. So these are going to be shorter 5 to 10 minute videos where I talk about financial topics. I may mix in a few vlogs, but the goal is going to be 2 videos a week. The YouTube episodes for the podcast are always going to be going up on Wednesdays because I always do the podcast. If I miss a Friday for YouTube, it's likely because I'm busy. I am going to be moving at the end of this upcoming week. So I'm going to do my best, but that is going to be the goal for 2025 to be getting an extra video up on YouTube weekly. So make sure you're subscribed if you're watching this and you're not subscribed. And if you're listening, please go just subscribe to my YouTube channel anyways. And the last thing here is I am hosting a 2025 workshop. It's called the Ultimate Financial Reset Masterclass. I'm super excited about it. And it's basically going to be a 60 to 90 minute class where I walk you through together, because I have to do it too, the process of auditing your financials from 2024 and putting together your plan and strategy for 2025. So we're going to be building our budget, setting financial goals, talking through how to analyze your spending and your progress from last year. I'm going to be hosting 3 live sessions. So you can purchase your ticket to the class. It's $25 via the link in the show notes and choose which session you want to attend once you sign up. There's also 3 worksheets that are inside of the actual course. So those will help you sort of prepare for the class so that during that 60 to 90 minutes, you can get the most out of it. All of the sessions are going to be recorded and posted to Teachable after the fact. So if none of the live sessions work for your schedule, you can always just send me a question that you have or that you want me to answer during the live session, and I'll answer it for you. And then you can go back and watch the replay. So go check that out if you're interested, or if you just need like a little bit of help putting together your plan. I did my best to keep the price affordable. I just wanted to cover my cost to administer the class. So yeah, go check that out if you want to put together a plan for 2025. With that, let's get into the State of the Union. I do have all of my notes up on my screen, so if I'm looking at the screen, that is why. And yeah, I'm excited. So I started this State of the Union episode at the beginning of 2024, and it's inspired by a podcast that I listened to called Note to Self by Peyton Sarton. And I think it's just a fun way to sort of share what's on my mind for the new year in terms of both intentions and vision. So I don't really set New Year's resolutions. I more often set intentions, and then I'll create themes around the areas of my life that are important. So for example, last year I was really focused on skincare and getting glowy skin. And there were a lot of elements to that, like lifestyle and routine and different devices and tools that I got for my skin. Building out a capsule wardrobe, hobbies, like those were all sort of the big themes of 2024 in terms of like my personal intentions. Obviously, pretty much everything I do has a little bit of a financial flair because in order to do things, you have to have money, you have to build it into your budget. But those were like the big personal lifestyle aspects that I focused on, not only in my life, but also from a content perspective too. And I definitely leaned into all of those things all year long. And when I look back at my 2024 State of the Union, I really do feel like my year encapsulated all of this, which is exciting. It means that I actually led my year with the intentions that I set. So for this year, for 2025, we're going to be going through the exact same process. And I'm going to be sharing my top like ins and outs for the year. Before we get into it though, I do just want to say, this is all in good fun, okay? So if there is stuff that is on my out list, that is on your in list, or things that I say are in or out that don't resonate with you or that you don't agree with, that is okay, all right? We are allowed to like and prioritize different things. That is what makes the world go round. So I'm not trying to offend anyone if I say something that is out and you happen to like it. So with that, let's get into it. And I'm going to start with my outs because I want to end on a high note with all my ins. I also have way more ins than I do outs. So out number one, shameful spending. And this is code for no buys. I think that no buys are totally out for 2025. I think that a no buy is setting you up to fail, and it's not something that I agree with at all. I am on underconsumption TikTok. And all of this is really gaining traction and trending right now because of the Buy Now documentary on Netflix, which I watched and I definitely recommend that you watch too. Something I want to be clear about is that I can appreciate and understand the purpose behind a no buy. And I think that like anything in moderation, a no buy is okay. So for example, like if you're taking a week where you're doing a little bit of a spending detox, I recommend you do that. Like that would technically be considered a no buy. Or if you're trying to, I don't know, like max out your 401k or reach some specific financial goal over a finite period of time. So maybe a couple of weeks or a month. I'd say the longest would be a quarter. So like a 3-month period. And the difference between taking like a spending break for a finite period of time, like I mentioned, like a couple of weeks or a month is okay. But I'm seeing a lot of this like extended no buy 2025 and people talking about how they're cutting out all unnecessary shopping and all unnecessary spending and no fun money for the entire year. And to that, I say, have you never been on a diet? Like, I just don't think that approach, this all or nothing approach, is setting you up for a successful year. Because anytime that you cut something out so severely, you set yourself up to fail. I could probably make an entire episode about this, and I will if you want it, let me know. But I just don't think that it's realistic because at the end of December, this is when we're feeling the most motivated for the year, right? And it's super easy to like go into the year and say, I'm setting this rule for myself and I'm going to achieve it. But a year is a long time, okay? So think back to a year ago, think back to March. Like that feels like a lifetime ago. It's a really long time to deprive yourself of things. Not even like just that you have to go buy things. I know that's not what I'm trying to say. But my point is, I guess, this shamefulness around consumption in general, I don't think is healthy. And I feel that way for all of the reasons I mentioned, but also because the reason why I ever even started Break Your Budget and my own financial journey in the first place is because I struggled with very restrictive spending because I didn't know anything about money and I was afraid to spend. I thought that being financially successful meant being hyper frugal, not buying anything. And ultimately, not only did I deny myself of life experiences, but now in my later 20s, I feel like I'm playing catch up a little bit. And it's sort of like pendulum swung me from one extreme to the other almost. I've never been like a super impulsive or extreme spender, but I've had a few years where financially I've made a little bit more money than I would have in a corporate job. And I definitely have purchased some nice things, which I talked about in last week's episode, which was like some of my favorite purchases of this year and of my 20s in general. And so I just think that setting more guidelines around your spending for the new year and making an effort to use what you have and also be thoughtful going forward about things that you spend your money on is more realistic for the masses. I think we'll see a lot of no buy 2025 fails by like the middle of February at the latest, probably, because it's just not realistic. And anytime you say you can't have something, you want it more. So I did actually post an Instagram video about my personal consumption rules for 2025. Now that I'm talking through it, I think that would be an interesting podcast episode for the new year. So I am going to make a note of that right now live. Okay, and we're going to move into the next one here. So number one out is shameful spending. Moving on into my second out, fast fashion and polyester specifically. So this is definitely not a new out for me, but specifically clothes that are made out of plastic and fabrics like polyester, viscose, nylon, and acrylic. These are priced way too high. We're all getting ripped off by buying plastic clothes that are, $50 to $100. Like if you're buying a piece of clothing that's made out of a blend of acrylic, polyester, nylon, and it's more than $25, like you're getting ripped off because it's the cheapest combination of fabrics you could possibly get. I will talk more about material composition when we get to the ins, but this is something that over the last 6 months, I have paid very, very close attention to with all of my new purchases that I bring into my life, like all of my new clothes. I wish that I learned about this sooner. I feel like it's something that I discovered, I would say around Q1, like the middle of Q1 of 2024. It really was spurred by my Jenny Kane Cooper cardigan purchase where I was like, oh, like this is an expensive sweater. Why is it more expensive than my other clothes and my other sweaters? And then I started looking into it. I got a few videos about it on my For You page, and that sort of began the pendulum going forward into the material composition thing. But fast fashion overall, and just buying like cheap, low quality clothes. And by cheap, I don't mean inexpensive. I mean more like cheaply made, because you can find high quality natural material clothing that's not super expensive, to be clear. And also, like when I say this, there are always going to be instances where there needs to be a little bit of this type of fabric in your clothing, like some workout clothes and stuff. But for my high touch, day-to-day, regular day clothes items, so like jeans, sweaters, t-shirts, blouses, like all that kind of stuff, pants, I'm aiming to slowly phase this out. And I'm not throwing away old clothes that I still wear that might have this fabric makeup. I'm just being more thoughtful about it for any new clothing purchases that I make going forward. Like I'm looking at the material first. So that's my second out. No more polyester, no more fast fashion, and the like antithesis of this we'll talk about when we get to my ins. Moving on to number 3. This is another one that is not new, but it is drinking and being hungover. And I actually posted a Q box about like your 2025 ins and outs on my Instagram story. And a lot of you also submitted this, which I found to be really interesting. But I'm excited because I am just like, I feel like my For You page, and let me know if you have also gotten this, but I am tired of seeing this party girl aesthetic all over my TikTok. And I'm talking specifically about like the Alex Cooper, Alex Earl, Hallie Batchelder, Unwell Network thing that is all over my FYP. And this is no shade to them because I know they're all like successful and have built their own businesses and whatever. And that I respect. But the party thing, I'm not into it at all. And I don't really like this whole vibe of like, I don't have a job and I'm drunk all the time and I'm going out and partying and being promiscuous and doing all of that. I feel like it's fine to do it. I just don't think it needs to be posted all over social media and like glamorized. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm 29 and I feel like I've done that phase. And I know that at certain periods of life, like going out and partying is fun. I'm not trying to be holier than thou or yuck anyone's yum or act like I never go out. But I think it's the glorifying of the excessive drinking that I really, really don't like, because excessive drinking has been out for me for years. But just like, I don't know, there's just nothing that's less interesting to me about a person than being drunk all the time. Like, actually one of those things that if I were to meet someone in my life and going forward and like their whole personality revolved around drinking, going out, being hungover, like we're not going to be friends, my guy. It's just not going to work because we're so different and we prioritize such different things. I hate being hungover. I hate feeling like I can't move. I hate having a hangover and it ruining your entire day, not being able to do anything, eating really gross foods, feeling behind, feeling groggy. I just don't like it, especially on the weekends. Like my weekends are my free time where I want to be, if I'm not doing things, I want to be bettering my life in some way. So that could be like being productive at home, working, doing something that makes my life better, as opposed to just like being drunk or being hungover. And I'll do it occasionally. Like, again, I'm not trying to say that I never do it, but I think just the aesthetic of this is not working for me. I think in 2024, I don't even think I got drunk once in 2024. And I'm not sober. Like, I'll never claim to be sober. I like wine. I like going to wineries. I like having a drink here or there. I'm not a like all or nothing kind of person or a restrictive person in any way. The only, I would say, like restriction I have in my life is I'm a vegetarian. And that's not something that I'll change. I used to be vegan. I very slowly have begun having like bites of fish here or there. And I do have dairy if it's in something and I'm at a restaurant. But I would say like that's the only thing where I'm in all or nothing. But yeah, I think in 2024, I didn't get drunk, like drunk once. I did get tipsy a few times, like when I was out, because like I said, I do go out occasionally, but I'm good with 1 to 2 drinks and calling it a night. I just don't really feel the need to be drunk. I don't like being hungover. And yeah, I'm glad a lot of you guys are on the same page because that means that I have found my people. Number 4, overstyling. I am so tired of the need or feeling the need to over accessorize and style everything. Okay. I don't know if anyone else is seeing this a lot too on social media, but I just want to wear my clothes. Like, I don't want to feel like I have to have 1,000 different belts or 100 different rings on my fingers or all this big chunky jewelry. That is not my vibe. I don't like chunky jewelry. I don't like chunky stuff. Like, I just want to put my jeans and my sweater on and move on. And like, yes, I think it's okay. And, I do this to like put a belt on and pull the outfit together with a bag. And like, I wear the same jewelry all the time, like do your makeup and whatever. But the over accessorizing of things and just making everything such a to-do is not my style, for one. And 2, I feel like it promotes needing more and feeling like you need so many more things in order to complete an outfit that's already complete. Like, you have pants on or a bottom on, a top on, a bag, comb your hair, put a little makeup on. If you have a belt, great. Wear the jewelry you already have. Like, your outfit is already complete. Less is more. I think less is more is a big in for me. It's not something I have on this list, but it's something that's coming to mind right now. I think simple jewelry and a belt were necessary. A nice bag is totally fine, but I just don't think we need to have so many accessories that are worn just all together. Like, it's so much. So yeah. And again, if that is your style, okay. But I guess the point I'm trying to make here too is like, over styling because you feel like you have to, not because you want to. So yeah, over styling out for me. It was never in, but like it's for sure out. And number 5, influencer brands. And by this, I mean like influencer brands whose method of selling their clothing, specifically clothing. I'm not talking about like my own brand because I feel like my brand is something that actually helps people. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm talking about like influencer brands whose methods are finite drops to make you feel like you need something and there's like a lot of hype around it and then it sells out and then there's all this hoopla. Specifically, what I'm talking about that brings this to mind is like the Park thing that just happened. I respect the shit out of Chelsea Park. I think what she has built is crazy. I think the way that she has built it is crazy. But I think this style of creating a lot of hype for something, making people feel like they need something, and then buying something because it's limited is just not healthy consumer behavior, in my opinion. I really don't like it. Also because a lot of influencer brands, and now going forward, I'm not talking about any specific brand in general, but a lot of influencer brands overarchingly who are selling like clothes and items, not all, but many, are just overpriced junk. Okay, so the drop culture makes you feel like you need something you don't, and then you're buying something that you don't need, and it's also more often than not super high quality. I appreciate the hustle, so I want to be clear about that. And I don't think that all influencer brands are bad. I think some of the ones I'm referencing are just impressive in terms of the scale. Like I mentioned, Chelsea Park is a great example, and how they've leveraged social media to grow their business so quickly. It's not an easy thing to do, to be clear. That is a very, very difficult thing to do that is made to look easy on social media. But most of it isn't high quality. Most of it is overpriced, and you just don't need it. So I'm also going to add merch to this list because, like, obviously you don't need merch, but I just don't see any scenario where I would buy something from some sort of influencer brand of this sort. And especially, I would never buy like influencer merch of any shape or form. So, yeah, all of that for me is out. And with that, we can move on to my ins because I feel like it's a little more fun to talk about. So, for ins, I actually have significantly more. I have 15 ins. So I'm going to be a little bit more concise as I go through these. Number 1, consuming less overall. Every year I set a spending theme. In 2024, my spending theme was buy less but buy better. In 2025, my spending theme is to just buy less overall. I'm focused on using what I have because I have more than enough stuff. I have plenty of day-to-day clothes. I have plenty of skincare, body care stuff that I can get through. Like it'll at least last me through January, February, maybe even March. And getting the cost per use on all of the items that I own, again, clothes, physical things, products, to be lower. I am full. And there are very, very few things that I actually need. So like, I'm moving from a warm climate to a cold climate. So there are like some winter things that I've needed. I got a pair of boots. I ordered a wool coat. Like there are a couple of things that I do truly need in order to live in a cold climate in Chicago, coming from LA. But beyond those necessities and like the things that I'll need for my apartment, I am going to be a lot more ruthless about clothes and just bringing things into my space. I don't really need to buy a lot of new items for my apartment necessarily. I have some small things like I need to get some bar stools, and I might need to get some new nightstands because I don't think the nightstands I have are going to fit, and I have to buy a bed frame. But those are like things that when I do buy them, I'm going to be thoughtful of, are they things I can bring to my next space? And if they are things that I'm not sure, then they're not things I'm going to invest a lot of money into. So like my bed obviously is coming with me wherever I go going forward. So I'm going to buy a nice bed. But bar stools, for example, I don't know what that's going to look like in future apartments. So I probably won't buy super expensive bar stools, if that makes sense. That's how I'm thinking about things. But overarchingly, just on a regular basis, external of moving, consuming less, because this past year, 2024, I did consume a lot. I'm not shameful about it. Like I bought things I wanted. I like nice things and I use them, but I don't necessarily need any more. And I'm going to hold myself accountable to that. Moving on to number 2, material composition. Yay. And I do think that this does warrant a full episode. So I'm going to work on putting that together for hopefully sometime in January. That, and what was the other episode I wanted to do? Consumption rules. So I'm going to make sure that those get put together. But right now I am obsessed with material composition and making sure the clothes that I'm spending money on going forward are made up of natural material. So think things like cotton, wool, silk, cashmere. Those are all natural materials, and I want most of my clothes that I wear on a regular basis to be made up of these high quality natural materials. And this is really important for a few reasons. First being, natural materials not only look better on, but they feel better when you're wearing them, and they will last a lot longer. So if you are going to spend money on clothes, which is totally fine and I support so long as you're being intentional and thoughtful about it, you want to make sure that they are high quality and made of natural materials. So high quality doesn't always mean like a super expensive or fancy brand. It really does boil down to material composition. So the way that I sort of threshold this is, first things first, when I'm looking at a piece of clothing, or I see a piece of clothing like on social media that I like that I would consider buying, I'm first looking at the description and the care tag. So I want to see the composition and the material makeup of that item first. If it doesn't even pass the threshold, it's completely off the table. Like I will not buy it. And my threshold is it needs to be, and it really does depend on the item, minimally 80% natural materials, because there are going to be certain things where unless you want to pay thousands of dollars, there is going to be a little bit of a blend. So a perfect example is a wool coat. Many wool coats on the market that are not over $1,000 are 80% wool, and then they'll have like 20% nylon, just because it's a lot of material. But for like sweaters, for example, they have to be 100% wool, 100% cashmere, or some type of blend, or 100% cotton. T-shirts, long sleeves, 95 to 100% cotton. Jeans, 95 to 100% cotton. Like, again, the clothes I'm wearing all the time. Sweats, at least 80%. I think these ones from Aritzia are 80% or 85% cotton, and then they have a little bit of elastane in them so that they have the nice stretch. But these are really great because I've had these for years. You've seen them in my videos for years. And they hold up really well. So when you have higher quality clothing made of natural materials, so long as you're taking care of it, they'll last a lot longer. And if you have clothes that are made up of this like acrylic, plasticky type of blend, then they get ruined in the wash, they pill, they look cheap, and you have to rebuy them over and over again. So I'd rather just spend a little bit more money up front, buy the nicer item that looks nice, and have it as part of my wardrobe curated collection going forward. And that also really stems down to knowing your style, knowing what you like, knowing what looks good on you, knowing your color palette. And I think that all sort of ties into this material composition, high quality clothes, kind of finding a wardrobe that you really love discussion. If you're interested in this in the immediate term, definitely follow me on TikTok because I'm talking about it a lot over there. Moving on to number 3, everyday luxuries. This is a newer one for me, and it's one that I'm excited about. But over the last few months, I've slowly started to upgrade some of the stuff that I use all the time. And it all boils back to my theme of 2024, buy less, but buy better. So for example, my hair care. I got a fancy brush for Christmas. I have nice Brooklinen sheets. I just bought new sheets for my bed in my new apartment from Brooklinen. They're expensive, especially if you're buying a king. Like I spent, I think $500 or $600 on sheets, a down comforter, my whole bedding setup, a super nice mattress in my new apartment, my Breville coffee machine, my eye patches that I use, my Aritzia sweats is another example. Overall, I'm just aiming to begin both elevating and using. I think this is really important, and using my nice products on a regular basis because I really want to love my daily life. I want to love my life today. Your life is your day today. I'm not saving my special nice things for a special occasion, okay? Like I don't want my life to be feeling uncomfortable in my day to day and then looking forward to that vacation 6 months from now where I take a break from my life. I want to like my life every single day. And part of liking your life every single day is liking how you look, liking what you wear, liking what you're seeing, liking your environment. And that is where I'm focusing my money on the everyday luxuries that make my day-to-day life that I am living every single day enjoyable. This is so important to me. It's something I feel very passionately about. So yeah, again, this is another episode that I think could be really interesting. So if you are interested in it, let me know. But like I mentioned, I want to wake up. I want to feel comfortable. I want to get out of my nice comfy bed with my nice soft sheets that I love sleeping in. I want to put on my cute sweats. I want to have my little eye patches. I want to make my delicious latte at home. And I want to feel like I'm taking care of myself. And yes, that means I'm spending a little bit of money on these things. It means that, when I'm choosing to get a new sweatsuit, I'm spending $150 instead of $75. It means when I'm doing my Sephora order, I'm spending, $200 instead of $100. And yes, that's a privilege. And yes, I understand that it's not something that's possible for everyone all the time. But it is something that if you are thoughtful about it and you really think about what are the things that I use daily that I feel if I elevated would elevate my life, and pick and choose a couple of different things. I've done this very slowly over time, and I'm still not fully there on all the things that I want to upgrade necessarily, but I'm taking my time. As I run out of things, when I'm buying new, I'm elevating where I can. So I think that's really important. I'm super, super into this, and it's going to be a big part of my content going forward because kind of going off of this no buy theme that I'm seeing a lot, like I just don't want to feel like I'm depriving myself of things that make me happy in the name of doing a no buy. I really do think that with a budget, which I talk about all the time, you can be thoughtful and intentional and reach your goals and work on your consumption and buy things that add value to your life. It's a theme I've talked about literally for years. And so, yeah, again, I think this warrants a full episode, but that's going to be a big content theme for me is everyday luxuries and like elevating your life. The next one here is Project Pan, which is another theme I'm seeing on TikTok. Lots of these have been themes I've been seeing on TikTok that I feel like my For You page is just feeding me now. So Project Pan is alongside this underconsumption trend, which I think underconsumption is just like a big overarching theme, buying less, big overarching theme for the year. But essentially it's a code name for using up all of your products completely before you buy new ones. So like makeup, skincare, hair care, lotions, and the like. And I love this. It's something I'm doing as part of my underconsumption and just efforts to buy less. Like I have a lot of skincare. A lot of my skincare though is Paula's Choice. And now that I'm like on their radar, they do send me things. So sometimes I have more than I would necessarily like, but it's all stuff I'm going to use. Makeup, I don't struggle with because I don't wear a lot of makeup. So I really don't, but I don't think I bought any makeup in 2024. Like that's just not something that I'm buying. Maybe I'll buy like an eyebrow pencil or something, but I think 1 tube a year of Bare Minerals tinted moisturizer. I wear that if I'm like going out. Otherwise, on a day-to-day basis, all I wear on my face is a little bit of concealer and my tinted sunscreen and a blush, which for whatever reason this past year, YSL and Giorgio Armani sent me blushes. Don't ask me why. I have enough blush to last me the rest of my life. So like, I don't need to buy that. So makeup, I don't struggle with. Hair stuff, I struggle with because I feel like your hair gets used to things. But I do think that having maybe like 2 shampoos, 2 conditioners on rotation and sort of swapping those out and then rebuying when they're done is helpful if like you have the hair type where it gets used to what you're using. Because I feel like that happens sometimes where like you use a new shampoo and it's like, oh my gosh, my hair feels so different. I just think it's funny though that like we've gotten to a point culturally where we need to have a name for using up products we already have. But honestly, whatever it takes to avoid having too many duplicates and to start using what you have. I think Project Pan is a really great goal. And what I've been seeing people do that I think is cool is they have a bucket of products and they're like, I'm using up this bucket of products. And then when I run out of something, I'm going to refill it from like my backlog of products that I need to get through. And then you can collect your empties and it's very satisfying to see how much stuff you've actually gotten through. So Project Pan is a big one. We're using up what we have. I'm doing my best to not repurchase any duplicates, but I have some things that I use like that I cannot run out of. Like One is my Polish Choice benzoyl peroxide stuff. Like that is what has cleared my skin. So I always have a backup of that because I have a fear that they're going to discontinue it and then I'm screwed. Or like my Summer Fridays jet lag mask, I always have one of those because I love it. But, collectively, I'm not buying more lotions or buying more stuff that I'm not using actively. The next one here is donating and decluttering. So I saw a video of a woman who said that decluttering is a form of manifesting. And when you declutter, you create new space in your life to be filled. How it's filled, whether it's physical stuff or intangible items, I guess, is up to you. But this concept is so interesting to me because anytime I declutter, I always feel so much better, like infinitely better immediately. And I'm going to make an effort to more continuously declutter throughout the year, like once a month, instead of doing it like in the spring and in the fall or in the summer and in the winter, like every 6 months. I'm going to do it monthly. And a big reason why is because when I moved, I was so shocked at how much stuff I have. Like I could not believe how much stuff I had because I felt like when I lived in my apartment, like I did not feel like my apartment was full. Like I had space. I had cabinets that I could have filled. I had lots of room that I could have added more furniture. Like I just feel like I didn't have as much stuff as I actually had. But once you put all of your stuff in boxes, it's amazing how much it adds up to be. And ultimately, my goal with this is that at the end of 2025, the only things in my apartment are things that I love, things that I value, and things that I use on a regular, if not daily basis, because I don't want to have drawers of stuff. I don't want to have a junk drawer. I don't want to have a cabinet of things for a later date. Like, I only want to have things that I use. And it's interesting because since all my stuff is in storage right now, I've only been able to use like what I packed in my suitcase and like the tech that I currently have. Like I haven't really bought tons of new stuff because I can't carry it. And I've been perfectly fine. So it's a good exercise, I think, living out of a suitcase and realizing like, oh, I really only need these couple of things. The next in hobbies. Hobbies will never be out, to be clear. But with my move and like I think over the last 6 months being a little bit depressed, and just being out of my routines, I just haven't had the time to prioritize my hobbies in Q4 the way that I did for the first half of 2024. Like I feel like in June and July, I came home. And then when I went back to LA, I was like, well, I'm depressed and I want to move and I hate it here. And so when you don't feel good about yourself and about your life, like it's obviously much harder to motivate yourself to do hobbies. So I did stick up with some like my Pilates and hiking and whatnot and cooking, but I was pretty consistently doing tennis lessons and stuff in the first half of the year and that kind of fell off. I was crocheting a lot and I kind of fell off of that. Like I want to get back into doing my tennis lessons. I'm excited to get back into cooking when I'm in my new space and just feeling like I have a life outside of work, especially because the last few months I feel like my life has been working because I've been stressed about my business and moving and just like being at home, which is totally fine. But I don't know. I just am excited to have some hobbies again. The next one here, LTK. I'm so excited about LTK. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably already know this, but I have entered my LTK era. And I actually hired someone to help me with this. Her name's Natalie. And she is helping me get my LTK up and running because it's an app that I've had a really hard time cracking. It's not like the most intuitive thing to use. And I just haven't been able to hold myself accountable to consistently using it. Like it always falls to the wayside. And I feel like over all of 2024, my management has been like, we really want you to try to get onto LTK and share the products you're already using, right? Because I always associated LTK with overconsumption and shopping and stuff. But I do get lots of questions about the clothes I wear, the things I use, like all the time. And I never used to link stuff because I felt like it was pushy. But we're really trying to link the things that I use. Like I'm not using LTK as a space where I'm out and buying tons of stuff and promoting stuff that I don't already have. It's more of a place for me to curate my collection and share in different ways how I'm using things. So like my morning routine, the products I'm using, the clothes I'm wearing, my capsule outfits, material composition, all that kind of stuff. And I want to keep it all cohesive. I want to keep it all curated. And we started working at the beginning. I started working with Natalie at the beginning of December. And it's been a good month, I feel like, to like get used to it with stuff on sale, but it's been hard just because I'm at home. So like I don't have all of my usual things, right? But I'm excited to see where it goes because I don't know, I've been enjoying it. It really pushes me again to like get dressed because I have to have content for LTK. And yeah, I'm going to start a series on there. I think I'm going to call it Outfit Repeater, where I'm sharing my capsule outfits with my high quality, or like good composition, material composition clothes, what my favorites are, why I chose them, dupes where possible, because I do have some expensive sweaters. And, you know, if I can find a high quality dupe that I feel like fits the bill and is the right makeup of materials, then I'll add it there. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. So if you're not following me on LTK, you should. And if you do see anything that you like that I share, shop my links, please. Okay, next, we have still kind of like a lot to go. Next is seasonal routines. So I find that when the weather changes, my routines tend to change and adjust a lot. And I used to resist this, but I am leaning into it in 2025. So for example, in the summer, I love getting up early. I love getting outside. I love going walking and staying active in the mornings. But in the winter, especially here in New England, because I'm on Cape Cod right now, and definitely in Chicago, like it's cold. And I don't want to get up early and I don't want to go outside and I don't want to walk right away. So instead of forcing myself to do that, I've just been waking up a little bit later. So like 7:30, which usually I wake up at 6. And I will just make my coffee and sort of get right into work. And I find that that first hour or two in the morning, I'm focused, I'm able to get stuff done, and I might as well just lean into it. I found this sort of happened last year too in the winter. Like when it's cold, I just don't want to go outside and I'm not going to force myself to do that. And then I take a break longer, like a longer break in the middle of the day. And then I work a bit later because it's dark. So the cold weather and the early sunset just have me feeling productive at different points of time during the day. And I'm not resisting it. I'm just leaning into it. Next, part-time jobs. So in my Q&A episode, I talked about part-time jobs and how I think it's important if you are going through a period of unemployment, how getting a part-time job can really help you, not only in terms of putting you on a schedule, earning a little bit of money, probably more than you'd get from unemployment, but also helping you explore like an interest or a passion. And something I'm very seriously considering doing in 2024 or 2025 is getting a part-time job at a coffee shop to learn how to be a barista. I don't know the specifics. I don't know 100% if I'm going to be doing this yet, so don't hold me to it. I need to figure out my schedule and what my life looks like in Chicago, but especially if TikTok gets banned, like that is something I'm going to do, not necessarily to replace the income, but to replace the time. And I want to learn the coffee business. I've always wanted to have a coffee shop, but I don't know truly if that's something that I want or could do if I've never worked in the industry before. So I feel like it's a great way to sort of explore that and learn new skills and be social, be a part of a community. So TBD, but I am hoping that I can figure out how to make something like this work. Next is capsule collections. So since I've been getting up and going on LTK, I've been curating and listing out my collections of different clothes I have just so that Natalie and her team can start backlogging a lot of stuff that I've already worn, pictures I've taken, all that kind of stuff. And this is especially true too because I've been living out of my suitcase for the last almost 8 weeks. And I'm realizing that within my capsule wardrobe, I have small capsule collections of different clothing items, like my jeans, like what are the 3 jeans that I brought? And my sweaters, what are the 5 sweaters I have with me? My t-shirts, my jewelry, what's my everyday jewelry? And it's been fun to tap into that and like continue to curate with the idea of a capsule collection in mind. So I want to keep doing this and I want to keep thinking about how if I do make a new purchase, how does that clothing item or accessory fit into my collections within my broader collection, if that makes sense. It's kind of a fun way to think about things. Next, we have reading. So 2024 was the year that I fell in love with reading, and I cannot wait to keep reading in 2025. I read so many books this year on my Kindle. I love my Kindle. I genuinely feel like if you don't read, you are missing out on a huge part of life. Like everybody should read fiction books, personally, in my opinion. And if you don't like reading and you've only been reading nonfiction books, it's because you're reading books that are boring, and start reading fiction books instead. My favorite books this year were the ACOTAR series, obviously. And I also read all 8 of the Bridgerton books, which I loved those books. I think my favorite Bridgerton book was Francesca, and I also loved Hyacinth. Those 2 were my faves. Gregory, I'll say, was a close third. Right now, though, I'm reading Throne of Glass, and I love it more than ACOTAR. I read Assassin's Blade, and now I'm reading Throne of Glass. So, like, I'm not very far into it, but, like, I'm hooked, okay? I cannot stop reading this. And I love reading. I love reading. I love reading, and I don't care who knows. Next is YouTube. So I touched on this a little bit at the beginning, but 2025 is my YouTube year. And I feel like I've said that in the past, but like this year is the year. I already post here for my podcast. I'm aiming to start posting on Fridays as well. And I'm interested to like share some different topics in a shorter form but longer form way, because I talk about a lot on TikTok, but I feel like I can take a lot of those topics and bring them on YouTube in sort of like a casual way. Like I'm never going to be one of those super highly edited YouTubers. Like I just like to sit here and chat and share what I'm doing, what I'm thinking about, business, all that kind of stuff. So I have a series in mind called, it's like going to be inspired by the How I Built This, that's focused more on like building up my creator business. So if you are interested in that, if you have questions about it, let me know and I'll make sure that I can, or that I start creating videos that answer those questions. Next, we have 3 more. So intentionality and embracing your choice. And this relates to time, money, and people. So being intentional overall is something that I want to emphasize in all aspects of my life, not just with how you spend, but who you choose to spend your time with, how you engage with people, what you consume, who you follow online. I think it's so important to be thoughtful about what you are allowing into your life and being kind of ruthless about it. And being ruthless about it doesn't mean you have to be rude, but like if something's not serving you or someone isn't serving you, like slowly cutting that out of your life. I have friends who like I've created distance with, and I have influencers who I've unfollowed, and I have clothes that I've gotten rid of, and rules that I've implemented into my life, boundaries that I've set to just be more intentional about what I'm doing, what I'm consuming, what energy I'm allowing in. And it's been lovely. It's protecting my peace. And I think that that is something that you have a lot more choice over than you may realize or recognize. And 2025 should be the year that you embrace that you have choices in your life. You have choices about who you hang out with. You have choices about what you do. You have choices about how you feel, what you see, how you spend your day. So keep that in mind. Second to last one here, lifestyle content. So I've started to add some lifestyle content into my social calendar this year, but next year I'm going to be adding a lot more, and definitely more on TikTok, assuming it doesn't get banned, but also on YouTube. And I'm going to continue talking about lifestyle topics here on the podcast. Those tend to be your favorite episodes. And you're going to get some lifestyle with a personal finance twist content on my Instagram too, like a lot more than what I've been posting. Obviously, you know, like I post finance content and I always will. That's always going to be the bread and butter of my page. But transparently, like I'm a little bit bored and burnt out from it. And I want to share more of my decision making in life while I live on a budget. And it tends to be the content that you enjoy the most anyways, and it performs the best. So I'm going to make more of it. So like what I eat on a budget, what I'm wearing, how I structure my day, all that kind of stuff. And I'm excited. So more to come. If you have lifestyle topics that you want to learn about with a budgeting twist, let me know. And then the last in here is being in your 30s, because if you don't know, now you know, I am turning 30 in 2025 in July. I would be lying if I said that it didn't give me anxiety, because it does. Obviously, my 20s have been not only a big part of my identity, because, you know, it's 10 years of your life, but a big part of my brand and my business. And it's super weird to think that I won't be in my 20s anymore. And I also have like a lot of anxiety about societal pressures when you're 30, but I'm excited for my 30s, and I'm excited to embrace being 30, because how lucky am I to age, right? Aging is a privilege. Not everybody gets to do it. And so I think, you know, this whole idea of like villainizing getting older and whatever, we're not here for that. I do not claim. That's not how we're going to operate here. So I'm excited to enter that chapter of my life in 6 months. We still got some time. And I'm hoping that I continue to feel confident in myself as I, get there, fingers crossed. So I'm excited to share that evolution of content next year. So with that, those are all of my ins. I'm going to wrap this episode up. I would love to hear your ins and outs for 2025. So let me know in the comments. And with that, I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.